I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, January the 23rd, where we kind of had a weather market on your cash feeder cattle market with storms moving through the Nebraska areas, central and northern Kansas, and moving off into Iowa, which did limit some of the outlets for cash feeders even in the southern plains, although we did see significant gains as they were trying to catch up with the mid to late week sales last week. But you look at the board on Monday, April live cattle up $1.25 to end the day at $123.97. February live cattle up $1.65 at $123.55, and that did surpass last week's fat cattle sales. March feeder cattle up 22 cents at $145.82, and your January spot feeder cattle down just a nickel at $147.90, and that's in real tight with your index levels, which are currently going on in your real-time index and your CME feeder cattle index. Last week's weighted average on fat cattle trade with a volume of 85,200 head in your 5-area feeding region. Not really enough to clean things up, considering that the feedlots are so full. And you look at last week's fat cattle trade at 93,300 head, and the same week a year ago at 107,700 head for the volume of your 5-area feeding region. But live steers had a weighted average last week at 122.89. That's significant. That's very close to the top market at 123, and the weighted average was up $2.97. Your dress trade, $194.89 on the weighted average, up $3.17, and that's a strong market and a significant positive signal on last week's fat cattle trade, with the bulk of them realizing the full advance of the market. You see that the government shutdown did not end up affecting market news, as it was deemed essential, and the current administration did not want as much turmoil in the limited government shutdown as we saw 5 years ago, where they were looking for a lot of turmoil and problems going on that was affecting people in everyday life, and more of the government services were deemed essential and did not end up shutting down on just the one day of the business week for a government shutdown. But something that you can look at, the dollar is at a 3-year low, which is really supporting your ag markets, with exports expecting to be higher and imports lower as you look at the trade back and forth internationally with the dollar at a 3-year low. Look at your feeder markets. Real-time index late Monday at 147.76, down just 7 cents, and really a strong market with a lot of heavy movement, and more so in the southern plains and not so much in the northern plains. So we're seeing good markets, and later in the week, as we see more sales going on and more sales in the northern plains, where you get the premium to what's going on in the feeder cattle market. But Oklahoma City had 9,750 head. Feeder steers mostly steady to $6 higher. Feeder heifers $1 to $5 higher. Those are bigger gains than what we saw losses early in the week last week. And calves steady to $4 higher. Another big high volume market on feeder cattle on Monday was Joplin, 8,900 head. Feeders selling steady to $5 higher, and calves $3 to $7 higher. Look at some individual quotes. That Joplin had a big quote on some calves, and this is not anything sky high. This is just the market on calves in a market that is sitting right in the Midwest. But 88 head of 500-pound steers at 1 o'clock on Monday brought 193. Look at another market on an individual quote out east was Bluegrass Stockyards in Lexington, Nebraska at 9:30 in the morning on Monday. Had 133 head of steers, weighed 822 at 147.75. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.